I'm that Kimberly, and my guest today joining me is Mr. Quincy Jones with Camp Construction. Before I jump in and introduce him, we're just going to be talking a little bit about how he's adapting to his normal, a new normal, I should say, in the San Antonio area. Is that correct, Quincy? Right, you're in San
That
Antonio.
is correct here in
Okay.
SA.
Yeah, and so Quincy, let's jump into it. Give us a little background about who you are and where you're from, and then we'll go into what you're seeing on this front of COVID.
Sure, sure. For those of you who don't know me, yes, my name is Quincy Jones. Unfortunately, I do not have the fame that goes with that.
That's gonna ask this
Um,
question.
thanks, thanks to my father for being a jazz fanatic and blessing me with
That
a very iconic name.
yes.
Um, so that's kind of the history of the Quincy Jones part. As for me, I've been in Texas now. This will be my 18th year
Okay.
of living in the great state of Texas. I was originally born and raised in Lansing, Michigan, the capital of the
Okay.
Mitten State.
I've been
Um,
there. I've been to Lansing, Michigan. It's beautiful.
awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Go green, go white. And I moved to Texas. Originally, I moved to Austin back in 2001.
Uh huh.
Very ironically, I moved just before 9/11.
Wow.
So I feel like I'm kind of reliving a little bit of that after 9/11 happened. Of course, this is kind of on as great of a scale as well, but lived in Austin for a good 12 years. I've been living in San Antonio now strictly for the last 4.5, 5 years.
Okay.
Um, I've been in the multifamily for the last 10 years. Kind of lucked into it, didn't even really know what multifamily was.
That's usually how
Uh,
it happens, right?
yeah, yeah. Who knew about this great industry?
and
Um,
and how long have you been with Camp Construction?
I've been with Camp Construction now. This July will be my a full 2 years with Camp
Oh,
Construction.
okay, awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so how are you adapting to this, your new norm of working from home and who else is there working from home or doing school with you?
Yeah. So for me, I've been fortunate enough. I've had jobs being on the supplier member side where I've kind of worked from home and worked from the office. So it's not really a new norm for me.
Mhm.
My wife, however, has recently come over to the sales side
Okay.
for the last couple years. So there's always a little bit of adjustment when you have two alphas in the house. We're both very animated when we talk. We both
Okay.
like to walk and talk. So, we luckily enough, there's two stories.
Yeah.
One of us will pick which level they want to occupy for the day.
Whoever
Give
is it
us,
first come first serve?
no, it kind of depends on who has to go in and out the most.
Okay.
Since downstairs is open and upstairs is a little bit more closed off. So we kind of play it that way. That way we can accommodate each other.
That's nice. You're being considerate.
You have to, you gotta, if you're gonna live together, you gotta learn to share. Um,
Especially if you're having to have cohabitating work spaces in this
it is,
time, for
it
sure.
is.
That's awesome.
Um, so it hasn't been too huge of an adjustment for myself, just because I've had that combination. You could always, I think the biggest adjustment for me is not being able to go to the gym in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Normally 5 a.m., go to the gym. That way you get home, showered, and ready to start the day, by 7:30, 8 o'clock. So that's been a little bit different.
Yeah.
Um, the other part that, of course, has been a little different is, the inability to go meet with our multifamily members or visit any of the on-site communities, because of the COVID restrictions
Yeah.
and everybody trying to stay safe.
Mhm.
Um, so that's been slightly different. And then, of course, coaching with your team members. Fortunately enough, camp has been able to continue working as an essential employee.
Yes.
So
I'm very grateful for that.
very grateful for that. Blessed that we are able to be continue working. Just like our multifamily partners, our regionals, our managers. My daughter's a leasing agent.
Oh,
They're all practicing working from a distance, and
And she's not coming to visit you. She's making sure to stay home to be safe for everyone else.
and
Okay.
that's been a tough adjustment because
Yeah.
normally I get to see my daughter and my granddaughter at least once a month.
Oh yeah.
So I'm coming up on that full month right now where I haven't been able to see anybody. But uh, the new reality of doing the Zoom chats has
Yes.
helped us since I'm an Android user, Team Android. I'm not
Yes.
iPhone.
You could do Duo, just so you know. Duo is an app that works on the iPhone, but that that way it helps iPhone and Android users that are both compatible, to be able to talk to each other like FaceTime, if you will.
Okay. Well, we do use the Facebook platform as well.
Okay, yeah. There's
She's
lots of them.
she's really big into Instagram. That's another one my granddaughter will call me from.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, we're finding the different ways to be able to stay connected.
That's good.
Um,
You
so
have
yeah,
to,
it
especially when it comes to your children and your grandchildren, for sure.
absolutely. And my parents, I have a mom that's here. She
Okay.
works a lot with the senior community. She's delivering, and since they can't pick up seniors and
Uh-huh.
deliver them to activities, they're
Uh-huh.
delivering meals to their door.
Oh, that's good.
So she's an essential employee, and she's continuing to work through this because our senior members, all of them don't have the means to be mobile or get
Yeah.
to the grocery store. So glad there's services like that out there
Yeah.
that are keeping them in mind as well.
Absolutely. That worries me. My dad's a senior. My mom's a senior as well. My mom's has dementia, but she has people with her. So the hardest part for me was not going there like I usually do, but with my
Sure.
dad, he like he is all by himself and he chooses this. So I stay home for both of them at the same time. I worry but I talk to him all the time, but he has a flip phone. He has no
No
internet.
texting. No.
He he has no computer. Uh, and like when he wants something off that internet, can you log on, honey, and get on that internet and print me off but anyways, because he flip phone, no modern technology. So that's a little difficult, but my nephews are there, so they go and check on him and we call him as, probably once a day at least, if not every
Okay.
other day, because he's definitely one of those ornery seniors that want to be alone intentionally, but then he gets out and he'll muddle around in the yard and go to the grocery store. And I'm like, "Ugh, don't do
Yeah.
that."
Well, that's funny. My dad's in Detroit, which is a
Uh-huh.
hot spot for
Yeah.
the coronavirus. And, he has a very interesting perspective on it, but he's always been very good. He goes to the butcher shop as opposed to the grocery store for his meats,
Okay.
which is a little different because in Texas, you don't find butcher
Yeah.
shops, which is really weird, by
Yeah.
the way. There aren't many
Well,
butcher shops.
you
Um,
do, but they're usually like in San Antonio, in
the
Austin. I think
Calabria,
they're called I haven't seen them here in Houston, but like they're like little mercados. And
yes.
they might even be called that in certain areas, but yeah, where you can get meat, chopped up. But yeah, it's different for sure.
Yeah, in Michigan, you have true butcher shops where it's just meat, and you can go in and get that. And he says, when I go to the butcher shop, there's not 5 or 20 people in there. There's 1 or 2 people at a time, so I'm
Yeah.
fine. And he's always been an early riser, but he's been staying safe. And him and my stepmom up there, she works in retail, and
Oh,
they're doing the pull up and deliver the goods that way, so they're limiting their exposure as well. But they manage to stay safe and adapt. And
yeah.
dad's still enjoying retirement.
Uh-huh.
Mom's not ready to retire yet, just
Good.
like
Yeah.
my mother here, they're not ready to retire yet. So
Did
um,
Did you have to have a conversation with them about staying home, or were they in that generation that they got it? Because I had to have the conversation with my dad, like, Dad, you're the one, that is susceptible. Did you have to have or were they automatically like,
no,
fine with it?
dad's pretty much on lockdown.
Okay.
In terms of people coming into his space, he's got his, they just moved into a new home last year, and they've been enjoying getting that set up and arranged. So no, he immediately went. I was more concerned for my mom here because she's interacting, with the senior
Yeah.
community. And I was very glad to hear that they were, shutting down the transportation portion of it and
Yeah.
delivering meals at their doorstep.
Yeah.
But you do have to have the conversation because the senior folks are quarantined as well, and they're starving for someone to talk to and hang
Yes.
out with. So
Yeah.
they have to talk about those procedures, because they're so eager when you get there to open
Talk
the
about
door
it.
and the dog will run out, and
Yeah.
it's kind of walking through those pieces to make sure everybody practices safe distancing and doesn't cross that barrier.
Yeah.
So we did kind of have that conversation, but she's staying safe. And, my mom's a firecracker.
Yeah. So am I. You can't tell them anything.
You
You can't
can't tell them
what
anything. You kind of
suggestions.
hope you can give a suggestion that they'll go, all right, I kind of like that. But yeah,
Yes.
but I do think it's important for them to uh, have a way to stay active and not be isolated. So I'm thankful that she's in that position.
Yeah, definitely. What are you seeing like in San Antonio in the as a whole in the multifamily space?
As a whole, multifamily space, you're seeing the offices that are closed.
Mhm.
In order to see a property manager or go into an office, you're having to be more conscientious of scheduling an appointment
Yeah.
with the on-site teams. I have noticed with the executive teams, they're being very cautious. They're not meeting with folks. They need to be at the ready, available for their investors that they're working with, to not come down sick and be able to coach their teams
Yeah.
remotely
Yeah.
via computer and via phone. Because at the end of the day, their properties are still running,
Yes. Absolutely.
and now you have increased resident activity more so than what you would normally see, even though we're living in an area where more people are working from home.
Yeah.
um
Not like this. It's so
Not like
different.
this. Yeah, this is something that's a little unprecedented, especially when you drive around a big city such as San Antonio and can see all the empty parking lots.
Wow.
Not
The
having
Riverwalk must be creepy.
The water's really clear though.
Is it really?
It's really clear. There's, you got to think about it. There's no people to fall in. There's less pollution taking place. So the
And
water's really pretty when you drive by it, but it
wow.
is eerily quiet.
Uh-huh.
In some of the historic districts where you would typically
See.
see folks, and
Mhm.
then just traffic in itself. There's
Yeah.
there's no timing appointments. If you need to get to one side of the town anytime between 7 a.m. and
It's
5 p.m., you're there in 10-15 minutes, which is a
yeah.
little unprecedented. That's
Yeah.
unprecedented for being in a large city such as
100%.
San Antonio.
Yeah, that's how it is in Houston. We don't have to worry. It's kind of funny listening to the Houston news when they talk about drive times because Houston definitely has some serious traffic, you know, where you have to plan just like San Antonio. However, now there's no planning. Whatever Google says, it really is real. It's what
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
what it is.
It is what it is. But it has
Yeah.
been interesting to see how multifamily staying afloat with, doing virtual tours for residents that have
Mhm.
interest in leasing,
Uh-huh.
scheduling by appointment only for
Yeah.
folks who need to physically see a unit. It has created, a little bit of a headache and nuisance. As things break down in an apartment, it makes it tough on the maintenance teams
Yeah.
because you're trying to limit that exposure with people.
Mhm.
So it, having the right gear to be able to go into an occupied unit, we as camp, we can't
Yeah.
assist in that manner, but just seeing how businesses are adapting.
Yeah.
I think the only creepy thing is you could still go to Home Depot or the stores and
I
they're
know.
packed. So that's been an odd thing to kind of see that we're being asked to social distance and
Yeah.
not that thank God our grocery stores are allowed to stay open because you need supplies.
Yeah, for sure.
It's It's just getting people to practice, that distancing part.
Yeah.
Um,
They
so
They HEB did a great job, over it seemed like it was overnight, because that's really the only place I get to go is a grocery store, you know? Like, I'm here by myself most of the time. My boyfriend works in the restaurant business, thank goodness he still has, his hours were obviously cut in half, but
sure,
and then he's, doing deliveries, but, HEB and Walmart both started having these, well, HEB we saw first with the panels,
yeah,
and then they have these red spots like by all the count wherever the food is, and it
yeah.
says this is exactly where 6 feet is. And then some grocery stores have that arrow aisle like you're supposed to be going, but not a lot of people pay attention to it. So I kind of get freaked out when there's too many people in my aisle.
And some people don't practice social distancing. You're getting a little too close to me right now. And if you sneeze or cough, even though it's allergy season, everybody's freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah. So I never normally like to take a shopping cart in the store with me because I can be more mobile and get in and out quicker.
Yeah,
But that's one of the things I've been kind of utilizing to help keep a distance from folks,
yeah,
is having the shopping cart versus
100.
just the basket.
Yeah. What's one thing that or something that you've learned from this whole experience about yourself or maybe about, our industry as a whole?
Um, I think it's been interesting to see how quickly the resilience has been
Mhm.
to keep properties running.
Mhm.
Because again, you're having a high resident increase.
Yeah.
So I think our multifamily partners have done a great job of creating an avenue and venue for residents to still be able to communicate, and still be able to tend to their needs, even
Mhm.
even during this crisis.
Yeah.
I think all of us have started to get savvier on conference calling, with our people, whether it be with your mobile device or with your
Yes.
laptop. I had never done Zoom. I've done some other platforms before.
Uh-huh.
Being on the Products and Service Council here in San Antonio,
Uh-huh.
we had our first Zoom meeting so we could stay on top of things because, you think about it. NAA hasn't happened. TAA hasn't happened.
Yeah, they all got pushed.
They all got pushed. Our normal industry events haven't happened. So, it's been interesting to kind of see how we've been able to, one, stop everything,
Yeah.
but two, we're all trying to problem solve through it, and the
Yeah.
ways that we have to be able to communicate now, which are allowing us to still do that, at a high capacity.
Yeah, for sure. I am I've been using Zoom for about 2 years prior to this, and before that I was using other video conferencing, and the number of people who didn't really want a video conference, and we used it to screen share to do presentations. And then when I started using Zoom, it was prior to there ever being a virtual background, which they have now, but I was using Zoom when I would do video recordings for podcasting. But it's become so much easier now because in even Zoom's customer service, they're so backed up. At least they call you back. They schedule an appointment. They're great about,
Yeah,
they've got all these videos, but it's definitely uh, forced everyone, no matter whether it's personally or in work, to, have that figure out what technology works for them so they
yep,
can see people other than just FaceTime, because of course iPhone users have always had the FaceTime,
yep,
uh, you know, but for every social media platform stepping up, from Facebook to Instagram, they're probably getting huge traffic. Zoom stepped up with their virtual backgrounds that they never had before.
yeah,
Um, but I really appreciate now more than ever that people are a lot more comfortable with being on camera. It does take some getting used to if you're doing something like this live, which I enjoy now. I didn't, say 2 years ago, but
yeah,
it definitely has made this unfortunate, pandemic has made it easier for people to say yes to me when I say, "Hey, you want to join me on a live lunch or live happy hour?" Because it's just another day at the office for them.
yeah. And
And it breaks
it's becoming a new reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And it breaks up the everyday because there's no joke when people talk about what day it is. Like it is like Groundhog's Day every day,
It
it
is.
feels like sometimes.
Yeah, it pays to have a routine,
Yes.
and I'm fortunate enough. I've always had that routine, whether I was going to work at home all day or I had a
Yeah.
mix of where I was going to be home or at the office or out visiting clients.
Yeah.
I'm my day still starts at my normal day,
Yeah.
minus me being able to go to the gym and work out.
How are you
Um,
working out? You know, they have a lot of free, um, like, well, first off, yeah, like they have like Nike. I can't remember. Like, there's a lot of things that are free now for a while that services, so that you can work out from home. Are you doing any of that?
A little bit. I'm more of a lifting kind of guy, and
Okay,
you
gotcha.
don't you get rid of all the bulky equipment. You go, I don't need it. I can
Yeah,
go to the gym. So
yeah,
I'm missing that piece of it. But getting out, getting some air. I do run just a couple days a week because it doesn't wreak too much havoc on my body.
yeah.
Um, and every once in a blue moon, I might try to entertain myself for giggles and do some yoga with my wife, but
Good for
I think
you.
I think we end up kind of laughing on the floor more than anything because I'm kind of like Frankenstein and an ironing board all in one.
That's
Not the
funny.
most flexible person. So
Hey, but at least you're trying. And as you get older, it's good for your mind, body, your inner core.
sure,
Um, I definitely do. I'm one of those awkward, like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? But it is something that I know it's very in this time, especially to help bring you back to, center and get some sort of mindfulness because it can, doing the same thing every day can
sure.
drive you insane for sure.
And you don't want to become too lethargic. You've got
Yeah.
to, move and keep your mind sharp. And
Yeah.
so it's important if you are at home, get out. It's funny. I see neighbors I've never seen before. I've seen kids I've never seen before
Uh-huh.
in the neighborhood. We've been here going on just about 4 years now, and there's a lot more activity with people walking and running. So it's good to see people, taking that resiliency, even though we're being asked to stay home.
Yeah.
But you're still taking the opportunity to get out, get some fresh air,
Yeah,
and move
100%.
around.
Yeah. It's social distancing at its best. My boyfriend and I went for a walk the other day and there were too many people too close at a park that was around the corner. I was like, "Let's just walk down here." And then
Yeah,
we came back and they were all gone, so then we took a walk around the little park cuz there were a lot of people kind of close to each other and
yeah,
I'm trying to get home to see my mom in the nearest future, so I really
yep,
don't want to get anybody sick and I don't want to get sick, but I need that sun. I need the interaction. I'm a, you know, I'm a Sagittarius A type personality that like I like to be working from home, but I want to go somewhere when
yeah,
I want to go.
yeah,
So, it's
absolutely.
it's definitely. So, Quincy, tell folks how they can connect with you if they want to learn more about you.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Quincy Jones in San Antonio. Not too hard to find me there.
Not the
Um,
famous one.
Not the famous one. Look for the more round face with less gray hair. I mean, I got a little bit, but not a
You're
lot.
younger than the old dude, Quincy Jones.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Same thing, Quincy Jones. I do have my phone number on there for people to be able to reach out to me.
Okay.
We're here to help any way we can. We know people are working with skeleton crews and different things. Let us know if we can help in any way.
Awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate it. And thank you again. And thank you all very much for joining us today. I really appreciate that. Make sure that if you have a question, we'll get to it. And I will have on tomorrow the owner of PNY Mobile, as well as Ronnie next week from camp and a couple of other surprises. So stay tuned, everyone, until next week. Remember, sharing is caring. And thank you very much, Quincy. I really appreciate your time. Have a
All
great
right, everyone,
evening.
stay safe. Wash your
Okay, you
hands.
too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.